Welcome to Affirmations. I want you all to like, share, and subscribe. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much. Those of you who are swinging through, thank you as well. Trying to get to 1,000. So if you could, again, like, share, and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so normally on this channel, we are tackling the topic of healing slave trauma. Okay, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the wildfires and things that are going on in California. Interesting to just kind of see what's going on. And we're going to talk about that. But for those of you that are new, we always start off with our saying, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Have you been feeding yourself fresh or rotten fruit? We always want to be mindful of the self-talk that we're doing with ourselves, as well as what we're speaking, as well as what we're speaking about others. Okay. It's okay to vent, but as long as we're not being malicious or lying on others. Okay. Because sometimes that can activate reap what you sow. Okay. So that's something we want to think about. We want to be kind. One of the things we always talk about is in slavery was a lot of things instilled in us in order to be combative and competitive with each other. So again, we're kind of working on trying to heal so we can be kinder to each other. Okay. But anyway, it's interesting. I was just thinking about looking at, the news and seeing all the videos popping up about these wildfires. And one of the things I think that's shocking everybody is that probably for the first time, we're seeing a lot of celebrities' property be damaged. And we're not used to seeing that, right? And it's interesting how we're more comfortable. We're just seeing everyday people go through things like that. We do like to think that people that we look up to, celebrities, people with money, we like to think that those are the things that can protect you from catastrophe. Okay. And so when we see things like that, it's very unsettling. And we're trying to figure out, what does that mean? Right. And it's interesting. I think about the scripture in the Bible where it says that rain falls on the just and the unjust. Okay. So rain can be viewed as a good thing, as we need rain in order to have water and for food to grow. But then rain can also be looked at as doom and gloom and what people would view as a curse. Uh, the scripture meaning that all will experience good and bad in life, right? No one is mm, protected from that, right? And we always talking about how we're here to learn lessons. Um, and sometimes they can seem very harsh, okay? But it's a lot of theories out there of what's going on with these fires. But I was thinking about, so let me look up some stuff to see what in the world causes these wildfires. There's a lot of theories out there, and accidents, of course, we do know that. But one of the things they've been talking about is these prolonged droughts. And so, okay, prolonged droughts. Okay, but what causes prolonged droughts? Deforestation. Okay, what is that? So we know what that means. Here we go. We have beautiful land, and what do? They start clearing it out and building, right? Every time we look up, areas are being cleared out and building. And so, not having natural habitat contributes to drought. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about man. Okay, and even just the model that we used to have, I think about our people again. We always talking about, after slavery, we had communities, and not just in Tulsa, but all over. And it's a history of them being destroyed, right? So you have these self-sustaining communities where people grew their own food, they had their own animals, they collected their own water, right? Rainwater and things like that. And everyone bartered. So you had this system to where you wasn't dependent on one big water system or the city or things like that. But also, too, there was a big agenda for people to kind of look down upon that lifestyle, right? Because it's considered more sophisticated and rich in order to be connected to city, right? To be connected to, what we consider more civilized, right? But the type of lifestyle that's created with that damages the environment, which then contributes to drought, which then over a prolonged period of time, you're going to start having like you say, wildfires. There's a lot of other consequences, but let's just talk about the wildfires. So again, the concept we talk about, reap what you sow, what you put out, you get back. So I think about even our people. It's pretty much so when you look at the way the capitalist system has kind of made us this kind of greed, right? The strong survive, right? Um, Abuses happen to our people, and we were sacrificed in order to build this, okay? And so that type of mentality translates through a lot of the systems, okay? So here we are with this kind of over abuse of, deforestation. Come on, word. And again, here you come with these droughts, okay? And so we can't get away from what we want to do is get to a point where we're not shocked when we see things, so do our research and put some understanding to it. It's only a matter of time that when you're doing something abusive, and especially to the land, it is going to pop back at some point, okay? And there's a lot of other theories, and I'll get to those too. Also, too, something called intensive farming, they're saying contributes to drought as well. So what's that? Here we go with these stores, right? So we're getting our food from stores. You have a few people who are responsible for growing the food for many, right? Versus, again, the old model where people had independent land, where they kind of were responsible for their own growing of their food, their animals, their water, their day to day. But now, again, because, and it's kind of like, the city living, right? A bunch of people congregating in one area, and then these big systems that feel more, that we were told means more civilized, is now destroying Earth. Okay, so we have to rethink these things. And also, too, population spikes. Again, a bunch of people in one area. Yeah. Yeah. And high demands for water. Yeah. So these are the things, that we have to think about when we're seeing things like this. Okay. Also, too, there are also groups of people that also believe that spiritually sometimes things are going on. When you think about Hollywood, and it's very interesting, California, which is responsible for our entertainment. And we have loved it, right, for many years. It's part of our escapism. But what are they pushing? What type of values are they pushing, and how has that harmed, let's just say, our people, right? We talk about, when rap first came out, it was very political, right? Kind of in order to motivate us in a positive way. Then you kind of had gangster rap kind of come in, and that, again, that type of rap, or just even certain music that we hear today, is promoted. Anything that is about not community, anything that's not about positivity, that's programming, because again, music is a big form of programming. Then also to movies, what we see, right, we mimic, right? So they know, and it's so funny, I'll never forget when I first started looking at these different housewife shows, right? And there was a time when women didn't even fight, but after people started watching the housewives, now all of a sudden you'll see a woman in a suit and she'll fight. So a lot of this is because when we do what we see, and sometimes we don't even realize we're doing that. We also will mimic what we hear. So again, when I think about Hollywood and what they push out and how they do decide what's in style, what's in fashion, what are we doing now, what is acceptable now, and so a lot of theories about them pushing out certain agendas, and people feel like spiritually sometimes that being judged. Now that may be true depending on what your beliefs are or not. Okay, but those are things we have to kind of look at. Okay. And so what we're going to do now, I am going to, let's see, I love this particular, let's see, called The Soul's Journey. It's a little lessons, little spiritual lessons. And I love kind of how they write about things. We're just going to kind of think about and see what comes out about kind of what we've been seeing, with all this destruction, and what lesson or information maybe do we need to be thinking about in regards to this? What does that mean for us? Okay, so let's see what we get. All right, that fell out. Interesting. Loneliness. This is interesting. Huh. Loneliness. And again, we're talking about this destruction. It says loneliness. I know that I am never alone. Okay. Loneliness. I know that I am never alone. So again, one of the things that come to mind is during times like this, also too, the way the programming has been is that we are more online world. There's not a lot of community where we see each other's face to face, so it's more isolated. So I can imagine people are feeling more lonely and scared seeing these things. There was a time when people would come together to support each other and comfort each other, but that is not the norm now. They have kind of programmed us to be more hands off, more online. Okay. And so let's see what it's saying. It says this card comes because you must be reminded that there is a difference between being lonely and being alone. Feelings of loneliness originate from a sense of not appreciating the most important person in your life, and that's you. So this is interesting. So catastrophes like this a lot of times will force us to have to deal with ourselves, right? Have to rethink our lives, think about what's important. Think about what am I putting my time in, and what do I now, when I see things like this, what does this make me have to figure out of what's really most important to me in my life, and do I need to get about that business? If solitude seems like an affliction, you need to work on creating a healthy relationship with yourself. So that's another thing too. Again, the city, right? Oh, I want to be in the city. I want to be around a lot of people. I can't stand being alone, right? Then not wanting to be out in nature, not wanting to have that time alone, or slowing things down, right? Because we're running from ourselves, right? Because we don't want to think, or we don't want to deal with, certain problems, or think about certain things that make us sad, or traumas. And again, where I was talking about healing slave trauma, a lot of our people have gone through a lot of trauma. Okay. And so that time alone is crucial. And when you look at catastrophes like this, you really can't escape those serious questions coming in your head. I don't care how many people are around you. Okay. So that's something we have to think about. It says only then will you attract others who will nurture your soul. So it's almost like you have to nurture your own soul in order to be healthy enough to even to be identified and actually connect with people who are of similar mindset. Okay. So if we're lonely, it could mean that we haven't done the work. Okay. And we tend to attract people that normally are kind of maybe takers, that are emotionally draining us, and they're not putting into us, or we're not able to connect with them. Okay. So a lot of times we have to heal in order to be able to even identify who is healthy and who should we be around. Okay. It says if you don't develop a healthy relationship with yourself first, you will only draw unhealthy relationships to you. Okay. To create a healthy, positive relationship with yourself, you must begin to feel worthy of love. Right. So that's another thing, feeling worthy of love. And sometimes when we don't feel worthy of love, a lot of times we will do a lot of cutthroat things to get love, right? Manipulations, trickery. Okay. And again, one of the biggest sins is abuse of power. And also to us as a people starting to understand that anytime that we've been connected with people through trickery, we have a right to leave that. Again, we always talk about the master slave dynamic. Some of us are taking on the role of master, right? Trying to manipulate, control. Okay. And then some of us are taking on the role of slave, where we're participating in that, fearful to set a boundary or say, this is not for me. So we have to be thinking about which role are we taking on. Yeah, so to create a healthy, positive relationship with yourself, you must begin to feel worthy of love. The pessimism of this physical dimension can affect your self esteem. If you don't have the strong conviction that you are valuable and meaningful. Okay, so again, if you don't think that you're valuable and you're meaningful, again, and your self-esteem is low, you are going to be putting up with quite a few things and being drawn to things and being around situations where you compromise and knowing that you may be getting one of your needs met, but then the other 10 are not being met. Okay. It says don't view solitude as a weakness, right? So sometimes looking at these catastrophe, it forces us to have to go within and sit and think. It's not a weakness. This is important for our growth, for us to align and get on track. It is merely your soul telling you that it is time to do some inner work and reevaluate your path before you start to shine. As you sit in the silence of your soul, you will realize that your spirit family, teachers, and your guides are with you, and you're never alone. And so, again, it depends on your belief system, right? Angels, spiritually, who are you praying to? In those of you, this is the funny thing. A lot of times you have people to say they're very spiritual, but yet they feel alone. Something's off. So you're saying you're spiritual, but yet you're feeling alone. So on some level, you really don't feel like spiritually you are connected. So we have to look at that. What is that about? Okay. All right. And so with that, I am going to end. And again, please like, share, and subscribe. Look at the community tab. A lot of times we'll put things in there weekly for us to look at. And wanting you all to have a safe week. Be safe. If you are near and in the California area or just in areas where you think some catastrophe could happen, have a safety plan in place, okay? And do consider and start thinking about, do I want to be in big city type areas, or do I need to think about being more self-sufficient? So I want you all to think about that, okay? Like, share, and subscribe. And as I always end, one of the things we always want to say is that everyone has a right to heal from trauma, okay, without interference, without judgment, without harassment, even a race nation, okay? Until next time.